mentors, teachers, advisors, coaches, whatever you call them, they are necessary and critical to our success in relationships, business, and endurance sport training. In this episode, I have the honor of being coached directly by ex-pro runner and triathlete Mike Trees as he helped me figure out the best training to run a 15:59 5K. I didn't do it just yet, so just a big asterisk there. Keep watching and find out how a great coach-athlete fit works and how you can train, race, and live better on this episode of Trees and DLake. So I'm training to run a 15:59 in the next 2 years. The fastest I've run is 5K.
5,000.
yeah.
5K, yeah.
Yeah. Fastest I've ran is about 17:05. So here's a bit of my potential. Right now, I currently can run a 4:55 mile, and I'm running about 100 Ks a week. I do 2 quality days plus a long run. So one is a kind of VO2 speed work-ish day, and then one is a tempo day, sub-threshold. Lots of easy runs. I'd say definitely very 80-20 with my running. And I do strength work, plyos. I haven't gotten injured properly in the past maybe 2 years. I'm on it. I'm at my race weight. I sleep well. I've got all the variables. 2 questions. On my quality days, do you think I'm doing too many? So the long run is technically a quality day because it can be up to about 2 hours, 10 minutes, depending on where I am. Do you think I'm doing too many? Because I feel great, have no injuries. I don't even get DOMs anymore. Recovery is great. 24 hours later, I'm fully recovered. I feel good. I don't do the next workout until 48 hours or later. Do you think I should drop it down to 1 interval day and 1 long run, or you think I'm good where I am?
Okay, so going back to more basics, do you know if you train correctly and efficiently and maximize your training, what the percentage is, the breakdown between aerobic and anaerobic for 5,000 meters?
90%. I do know that.
Actually, I would say if you get it right, that's more of a 10,000 meters. I would say you could be getting 25% anaerobic if you can really maximize your training for 5K. So I would say that you're underachieving on the anaerobic work, but that's a 6-week block before the run. So you can be doing all this is great. I would give you a 6-week block of a 3K session for speed and a 5K session and then a 10K session for stamina. And I would vary, and I would probably push you at the limit. I might even in the 6-week block, depending on how you respond, because you're good anaerobically, if I can get your anaerobic engine really ticked up, I might even put a bit of 1,500 meter work in there, 3,000 meters and 5,000 stuff, and really focus on the short end and play to your strengths. You said you came from 800. So play to your 1,500 strengths to get the 5K. Whereas, you get a marathon runner and think, well, they've got this big aerobic engine. Let's just maximize their 100-mile weeks, their 10K sessions, their 5K and their aerobic capacity. I think there's 2 ways of skinning a 5,000, and you're borderline that you could push in a little bit more speed work and really get out and get used to running some Ks in 3:10 Ks and going quicker than race pace. So when you get the start line, you're getting through the first 2 couple of Ks thinking, well, this is easy. You're sitting there and you're waiting for that last 2K when it kicks in, but you can cope with a lactic. So what you've got is you've got the threshold work for lactic. We work around the threshold, but you've got the lactic tolerance. So towards the end, the last kilometer of 5K, it doesn't matter how much lactic you build up if you can cope with it. And there's some phenomenal stories of, people like Sebastian Coe that could hold, I don't know, it was 17, 18 millimoles of lactic, per milliliter per liter of blood in his body. Whereas most people, you struggle at 4. So that's where the threshold is considered. The 4 millimole level is a technical term people use. They get past 4 and they can't really run much. But if you can cope with its absolute tolerance, not the threshold, but the tolerance as well, that's where you can maximize it. So that tolerance might even get you something like 15, 20 seconds in the last 1 kilometer if you can cope with it. That's huge over 5K. So I would say that what you're doing is essentially right, but I would give you a 6-week block at the end where we tweak it and work to your strengths. And it might take a couple of blocks to work out exactly what that is. Is it 1,500 work? Is it 3,000 meter work? But I would give you something quicker. And you're on the borderline. At your age, I could cope with 3 hard sessions a week.
Plus the long run?
Oh, yeah. The long run, I don't consider that a session. That's an easy.
Oh, wow.
That's separate. So We're talking at the level you're running at. I mean, for a beginner runner and someone at sounds rude saying a lower level, but that haven't built up and haven't got the history that you've got. I think when you're looking at 17 minutes, we could look at a Tuesday, a Thursday, Saturday, and then do the long run on a Sunday just as the recovery run. And for 5,000, you really, in the last period, you really only need to be doing 60 minutes. You don't need to be, over the winter, yeah, you can build it up 90 minutes longer run. But when you're doing that real speed work at the end, you don't want the 90 minutes because that's going to knock off the speed at the top end. So I wouldn't have you running more than 60 minutes for a long run at the end, but I would have you doing a set of 12 400s, we'll say, on the track on Tuesday, maybe something a bit longer on the Thursday, where we're doing a bit more, and you're doing something like 8 by 1K, just taking it a little bit over the stamina, and then a 5K time trial park run on a Saturday. And then as we get closer, we might cut those 8 by 1K down to 5 by 1K, just to get you running quicker than race pace. We might alter those 12 by 400 sometimes to 12 by 300 to really get the leg speed in there and give you a nice, decent rest so we can get you, running quick. And then on easy days, this is what people get wrong. I could get you running some 50-meter strides. Well, you said the word yourself, 5 seconds ATP. Some people might say it's up to 7, but it's 50 meters. It's fine. If you get a long jog between, you could then even do some strides on the days between. So we could really maximize the amount of speed work you're doing. So it looks as though you're doing a lot of hard work, but you're not. Another thing I would do with you is, I agree with strength training all year round. But that last 6 weeks, I think you're training to build the chassis to make you strong, to keep going for a long time. You don't need it. You've got to take a few gambles. Get rid of the strength training because that's something that'll fatigue you, that'll build the chassis and make you stronger. It won't specifically help you run faster in that 5K. So the last 6 weeks, definitely dump the strength and conditioning. Just work on the conditioning just to keep yourself mobile. Does that help?
Wow. That was, that's what I've been wanting to hear. I'm self-coached and now I'm really considering using you as my coach. So you've sold me. It's funny because, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to handle what I'm doing now. I've slowly built up to this, but I'm like, I'm not sore anymore. And yeah, I don't have to be sore. I know pro runners really don't get sore. I had a friend that was a pro. He was like, I don't get sore anymore. He ran a 147, 800. And he's like, I rarely am sore after workouts. I understand that's what happens. So you can't gauge it on, did I go hard enough by how sore you are? But I definitely am really fresh. And I'm like, okay, that means I can handle more work. And like you said, I'm sitting back going, I don't have this crazy aerobic engine. I've never had it. I can build it. It's going to take me, even more years, but it totally makes sense that I capitalize on my speed. I do the VDOT calculator, which I'm pretty sure you're well aware of. Jack Daniels. And it's like, I basically, I know if I trained, I could probably run a 440 mile, 1 mile. And maybe even 430. If I properly trained for a year, I think I still have that in me. That means I should be able to run like a 220 marathon, 215. So I'm like, the VDOT score doesn't make any sense with what I'm actually, what you can do in the VDOT score never makes sense. You have to, it's just, that's your potential, but you have to actually work at it. So, I know that I'm heavier on the speed. So I need to work that, especially for the 5K. Cause like you said, that is more speed. And in my head, I'm like, it's more aerobic. And I think it's a combination. My brain has not seen my body do the speed past 5 minutes, the 310 per K that I need to do, 312 per K. It hasn't seen it. So it's not allowing me to do it. So it's just like this subconscious thing that's happening where I just freak out. If I'm like, the lactic starts building up, I freak out. And I slow it down a bit, I hit 320, 325, and it's like, okay, that's comfortable. And that's not going to get me to where I want to go. So
embrace it. I'd get you doing a 3 in the build-up. I'd get you doing a 3K time trial on the track, getting under 9:30. That's your aim.
Yeah.
And it's quicker than race pace, but it's, if you can cope with that, you're coping with the lactic build-up. It's making you more able to cope with it. And it'll really pay dividends when you come out and do the race. Not so beneficial for 10K, but for 5K, it's still, I think you could take big chunks off the time.
All right. Well, I'm actually going into the last 6 weeks of this block. So it's a 12-week block, but I broke it into kind of like building in. So I'm ending my VO2 max. So I actually wanted to do more race specific. So this is perfect timing because I actually will implement this over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I'll probably do 4 just to be safe because I don't want to break myself. And if I do well, then I'll I'll either sign up with you or I'll just implement it. But yeah, I'm definitely you've sold me. I like that. I like
six weeks to make a physiological change. Less than 3, you're probably not going to do much. So forward work. A lot of the guru that I like, Arthur Lydiard, who based things, he could get people fit, in just a little bit of speed work on 3 or 4 weeks. So long as the aerobic engine's there, it doesn't take too much anaerobic work to get you fit. So 4 weeks would be perfect. 4 weeks and a nice taper to freshen up, and you'll be raring to go.